YRF is one of the biggest and commercial and successful production house. Why did you think that someone like Aditya Chopra would be interested in something like this? Because also it's a web series and not a film. They do make a lot of movies.
40 years later, to take it to them and tell them about what happened that night in the most fantastical way and fashion. And I thought, and he was blown as well. And that was the time YRF was looking at entering into
He
streaming.
said that?
Yeah, it was his idea.
Okay,
and I was like, yes, that's the perfect way to do this.
You heard of any of this from all the stories you've heard?
Primarily, I knew about the gas tragedy because I'd worked on a film before called Bhopal Express. But what was new to me was the fact that the railwaymen contributed so much. And that's how I understood the station master.
A debut director is making this. What gives you the confidence that such a solid, sensitive script he'll be able to pull off?
Very little difference between a debut director and an experienced director. The battle is the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But for me, my entire career, all my blockbusters have been given by debut directors, the ones that I have selected, and apart from of course Rajkumar Hirani and Mani Ratnam.
ये सब दिग्गज के साथ काम करके, what is this equation on the set?
This is not just luck. Like this seems like a force of nature.
What is it?
Destiny maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Blessing.
Blessing. Yes. A blessing, destiny, talent.
It's debatable. I'm very happy that we have this sort of a love story. Everyone is noticing that love brewing there. It comes sheer out of respect for KK sir also to begin with.
Get a room, guys.
It was love. It was just love. It was nothing else.
Gentlemen, welcome to Bollywood Hungama. I have watched this, I finished this just yesterday, and I'm in complete awe. I will look into the camera and say this is one of my favorite this year. Big congratulations to all of you. Good, we are starting the day on a high note.
I swear, thank you so much.
Right. First to the maker, Shiv, बहुत सुने भोपाल की stories, and respect to each one. They achieve a purpose, they have its own audience. कभी ये नहीं सुना था, how come, where was this born for you, and how come such an important aspect, such important people were never discussed?
That's the strange part, that these people, their stories just got lost in the history book somewhere. And that was the entire point of, us feeling the importance to tell this. The story was born from this one-pager that the writer Ayush Gupta brought to me. We were introduced by a mutual contact, Sridhar Raghavan, who's a writer. Right. Ayush used to work with him, and I was also doing some work with him. And he introduced us. And, he said, meet this young boy, and his name is Ayush, and, he's got some great ideas and all. And Ayush and I met. He gave me this one-pager, and when I read it, my mind was blown. And I was like, it's a story about the most tragic night and the most disastrous night in modern Indian history, but told from a lens of courage, from a lens of hope. And I thought it was the most fascinating tale. And I remember taking this story to Aditya Chopra and telling him that, Adi sir, I think I've got something, and I think it's so fascinating, it's thrilling, it's compelling, it's emotional, it's gripping, it's riveting, it's, everything that can tick the box, it's that. And also it's giving us the opportunity to tell the story of, to retell the story of this disaster, to take it to the audiences who, 40 years later, to take it to them and tell them about what happened that night in the most fantastical way and fashion. And I thought, and he was blown as well. And, from that day, we just pressed the, legs on the accelerator, and we just went for it. And we're here today.
Right. So my just follow-up question is, YRF is one of the biggest and commercial and successful production house. Why did you think that someone like Aditya Chopra would be interested in something like this? Because also it's a web series and not a film. They do make a lot of movies.
Yeah. So predominantly, I mean, YRF is we're the last to enter into streaming, and this is our first into streaming. Romantics was there earlier this year, which was also on Netflix, and that was a docu-series about the ethos of the company. But I've worked with YRF my entire professional career. I don't know what it is like working outside. So when it was time to do something, and Adi was like, Shiv, I think you should now venture out into the world on your own. I remember him like we developed this as a film, and I remember when we had the film script ready, because of the constraints of cinema and the length constraints, etc. We found ourselves like kind of like removing things and cutting things out and all of that, and none of us were happy. Ayush wasn't happy, Adisa wasn't happy, I wasn't happy, and that's when he said like he's like I think, what if you do this as a 4-part series? And that was the time YRF was looking at entering into
He
streaming.
said that?
Yeah, it was his idea.
Okay, it was his
and I was like, yes, that's the perfect way to do this. And, bringing the ethos of Yash Raj films into the digital arm YRF Entertainment was the idea to, and looking at doing something so different from what we do in the cinemas, but with the same with engaging stories. I think we always look for engaging stories, and this was one of them. And we thought it was the right way to enter into streaming, and he gave the reins in my hand, and I think
amazing.
Yeah.
Well done. So I'll come to your direction in a bit. I'll come to KK now. Say ये station master है. शुरू के discussions में क्या discuss हुआ था about his personality, about what is this guy like. Also, before that, if you can tell me, had you heard of any of this from all the stories you've heard?
Primarily, I knew about the gas tragedy because I'd worked in a film before called Bhopal Express. But what was new to me was the fact that the railwaymen contributed so much in terms of saving people, which I never knew. And somewhere I was also awakened to the fact that here's an organization called the Railways, who we have all traveled in, and we take them for granted.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the largest network that we have in the world. And the number of employees are perhaps the largest, in any organization. So the courage displayed by those people who are used to reaching people on time, but also safely.
Right.
So that requires a lot of concentration, a lot of effort, hard work. And that's how I understood the station master. Because he knew that one little mistake can be a big disaster.
Right.
And his impetus, I think, was that. And secondly, of course, he had certain demons with him, which he was carrying. So all that put together, a guy of that sort, along with his colleagues, played by Divendu and Imad in the station. So how they kind of leave everything else and how the valor comes across in terms of saving people is a very interesting story, and it's something very new to me because I never knew this.
You didn't know. You have some very impactful scenes. I'll come back to that. I'll come to you now. The minute your character's entry happens, it is a hero's entry. That somewhere that confidence comes कि हाँ अब ये आ गया, अब इस सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Or he'll do something. My question is something different. A debut director is making this. What gives you the confidence that such a solid, sensitive script he'll be able to pull off?
First of all, thank you so much for your initial reaction. I can't tell you how much of a relief it is to give an interview to somebody who's seen the work, liked it or didn't like it is another thing. But when you've seen it, there is so much. Your take is so different in terms of your questions, so that it becomes so easy for us to answer. But my answer to your question is exactly in the question itself. Because right now there is very little difference between a debut director and an experienced director. The battle is the same.
Correct.
But for me, my entire career, all my blockbusters have been given by debut directors. The ones that I have selected, and apart from of course Rajkumar Hirani and Mani Ratnam. So the thing is that when he came to me, my first curiosity was, why would a debut director choose a subject like this, and that too from the stables of YRF?
Right.
It's not. There is just no connection. He could have asked Adi sir to give him whichever actor he wanted, and he could have pitched it, and he could have done a hardcore commercial subject, right? So as much as an anomaly as it is, it's also something that drives your curiosity factor very high. And so I was very keen to meet and see what they had in mind. And when I met them, and I'll tell you as an actor, what really stimulates and gets my juices flowing is when I see the director completely in command of his story. With the statistics at the back of his hand. So even if it's a fictional story, sometimes the director is so immersed that you could fire things at him, give wrong suggestions just to test it out. And you find the person towing the line on every front. And this guy, apart from that, the sheer amount of commitment he had to the story. I'm not saying to the film or the project. I'm saying to the story that he wanted to say. That itself was super overwhelming. And I think the results are there for everybody to see. Because it is not an easy series to shoot. It's not I would have, if I had been in Adi Chopra's place, I would have said, I love you and everything, brother, but let's start with something small.
Yeah.
Let me see what you can do, and then I will pump in what it takes. So, but everybody was coming in with all guns blazing. For an actor, and it comes from those quarters, it's extremely reassuring, right? And then the bliss for a person who is used to spearheading his projects is to just on that project to be an actor.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's bliss.
It is, I'm sure.
So you're not worried about, is he managing the others properly? Is this going to release properly? Does it have a proper publicity place?
Right.
All those things have been taken care of by much, more bigger experts. I don't need to put my nose in there. So it's a complete honeymoon for me.
Right.
To do a project where I have to just act.
Right.
And that box were quickly being ticked. So
Right.
for me, it was a no-brainer.
Now, your character was someone who could never be in self-doubt ki ye hoga nahi. He has to have that confidence throughout, and you really did it well. You really did it
See, the thing is, that is the thing about leaders. They're always in doubt.
Right.
It's never that you're not in doubt.
But
You're
can't
always guessing and re-guessing yourself. But if you see in this movie, my
You've seen this.
four-part series coming on the 18th of November. This has been my part. Yeah, only on Netflix. So you see, my character actually comes in before he knows about the disaster.
Right. Yeah.
So that introduction is there, and he's got the freedom of establishing his Harfan Mola, personality. But there's a stark change when he get hit by the facts, right? So for me, that was, you got a limited time, but you have so many things to say in that. It was very exciting for me.
Right. आपके कैरेक्टर से तो किसी को प्यार ही हो जाए. He's so likable and lovable. You tell the audience who have not seen it yet. Is he kind of a jugadu who wants to just make a quick buck wherever possible? Yeah. Is he? But again, the way you two have a rapport, you always have his back. He's station master ka suno kya kar rahe ho and all that. You tell me what is this constable like, and what is your rapport with him?
I mean, I'm very happy that we have this sort of a love story. Everyone is noticing that love brewing there. It comes sheer out of respect for KK sir also to begin with. So
get a room, guys.
No, but I tell you, so this guy, trained bandit, who turns into the constable and, bit of an oddball, you don't know. And he is a survivor. There is no background as such to this guy. He's not self-aware. Okay, so he is not doing anything consciously. He's in the situation. Maybe it's the first time he's seeing all this act of generosity, people, just going out of their way to help others. So it's a very foreign sort of emotion for him.
Right.
Because like I said, he's a survivor, he's a loner maybe in life. Yeah. So to play that was very interesting. For him to be in a situation like this, where he wanted to come, now he wants to exit, but he can't exit, which is very stupid because he's feeling this kind of a emotional bond with these people.
Right.
And he's learning also, like every passing minute, why are they reacting like this, I mean, so it's a lot of, he's discovering a lot about life, about people, about himself, that maybe he's also got a emotional bone in his body somewhere. To play all that was really interesting. Not committing to anything. Again and again, every passing minute, he's trying to, निकलते हैं यहाँ से, this is a stupid idea, यहाँ पे नहीं रुकना चाहिए. But then you have elements where he really connects with, like the two kids, wonderful two kids, जहाँ पे उसको maybe अपना बचपन दिखता है और उनके pain में, उनकी loneliness में कुछ एक ऐसा दिखता है जहाँ से connect कर सकता है.
Right.
So yeah, for him, maybe this is the biggest learning point of his life, that human beings can also be kind and nice and, be together, look out for each other. And similarly, for Station Master, to begin with, he's like, okay, he's a guy, he's too self-righteous and, this thing and everything. And he's like, let's not engage too much with him. Let's be on the, outside of the radius and do your job and, get the hell out of here. But the honesty of Station Master is got such a heavy gravity working towards this guy. It like pulls him so much in. Is that he can't. And it was love. It was just love. It was nothing else. So, but yeah, it was amazing to have this constant fight within this character that why am I feeling this? I don't want to feel this. I want to get out. But here is a guy who's doing something weird. You don't like him, but you like him. What to do? So yeah, all those.
Nice, nice. Well, these are the initial years of your career. I would really say, you're really lucky to get something like this where you get a great character. You बहुत अच्छा strong character लिखा है और direct किया इन्होंने. आपने भी ये select किया. What is one? Do you want to tell the audience? Firstly, ये सब दिग्गज के साथ काम करके what is this equation on the set? Are you the naughty person on the set? Are you the pampered person on the set?
I am very much pampered like by them and their generosity. First of all, luck is an understatement.
Right.
This is not just luck. Like this seems like a force of nature.
What is it?
Destiny maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Blessing.
Blessing. Yes. A blessing. Destiny. Talent.
It's debatable.
Talent is not. But it's. Now lost.
No, what do you see? When you work with someone like him and all of them, what do you observe on the set?
But the thing is, why I was pampered on set, right? It's because you go on set and you're going there to work and you're expecting everybody to go work and be like मेरा काम इतना है मैं करूँगा. But when I went there and I experienced everybody just trying to make the best series, to make the story come out and looking out for each other. I was being looked out for. But like in the engine, right? I'm not a trained actor, right? I depend a lot on my instincts. I depend a lot on my impulses, and I have to let have to be in a state of mind comfortable enough to be able to surrender, right? To be able to let go. If I'm not in that state, then I wouldn't be able to let go, and then I'd keep messing up the takes. So for all of them to create that space, so that the youngest actor in the room is comfortable, that taught me something so incredible about art and acting. It is not about competitiveness, right? It is about bringing your individuality to the table and being generous enough so that somebody else is able to bring their individuality, and then with the fusion of individualities create something special that cannot be mechanically designed.
Right. Then about this character, he's obviously a new person at this station. Do you want to tell people something about what does he do there and what does he learn from say a station master?
So he's a loco pilot, right? And he's extremely nervous about getting this job, and then the first moment he enters, the station master gives him a test, right? And even if he had thought that there'd be a test, he thought there'd be a written test. And he gets this weird test and he's completely thrown off. But he runs around, but he's very innocently dedicated to do this, right? To to really get the sense of justice that was done to his friend, right? So he's really in that.
He's young, but he has solid principles in place.
His values are strong, and that is because of his close connection to his mother, right? And so he feels there's this instant connection that he has with the station master, because Imad also does not. May I say? Does not have a father. Imad also does not have a father, and his father passed away when he was, I think, 8 years old or something, right? So the moment he gets this test from station master, subconsciously, he doesn't know it yet, but subconsciously there's a bond growing, right? And even that bond, because I'm not a trained actor, I can never be. It's not even just about being a trained actor. Like Devendra said, you can't do. There are some things that cannot be created mechanically or created by human design. You have to really feel like. I actually, what Imad felt for Siddiqui sir, I actually felt for KK sir, on throughout the shoot, and since then. So that reflects in his eyes.
Very well done. Very well done. KK, as much as I hide, I've been a fan of many of your characters. I can say lines from Black Friday sitting here, and so I want to ask you about this acting, this time. Face आपका covered है एक रुमाल से, थोड़ा गीला है, आँख पे obviously काफी कुछ makeup कुछ किया होगा. You're coughing. How tough is this acting?
How tough? I would say it was very interesting. More
interesting,
than
okay.
tough. Because I look at things as interesting or uninteresting. So now I believe the eyes. Everything else is an appendix to it. So for me, sonam bonum of cinema acting starts and ends with the eyes, and that's what I have always believed in. So if it's not there, then whatever you say doesn't affect me. So the mouth might be speaking certain lines. So everything is a byproduct of
Right.
all that. So that's been following. So for me, that was the way I normally do things. Even if my face was completely not covered, it would still be that would be the process.
Right.
So for me, it kind of helped to, in a way, display that
Right,
more than
right.
anything else. So I don't know. We just felt it, and all of us seek moments of truth
Right.
while doing it.
But isn't it easier when you're a cop and you're saying something to you're interrogating someone, you have all your body face to emote. This time you don't have that.
I'm
all
saying
the
that
time.
in spite of all that, as I said, it's an appendix.
Okay, so that was
If the feeling manifests into the arms, then it's fine. But I won't raise my arm just because I have to raise my arm,
Right.
or say a line this way because I have to say it.
Right.
If it felt, which is why most of the performances are not dialogue-y in my entire career.
Yes,
I've kept it conversational.
Yeah.
So conversation mein 2 plus 2 can become 10. Dialogue mein 2 plus 2 is always 4.
Yeah.
So there is that little difference. So we try and things like, for example, seamlessness. Now I could easily craft it in a way that I'm coughing, then saying a line, then coughing, saying a line, or and very smartly do it. But the idea was that let the cough come, and that's how. And my purpose in this particular scene is to, for example, between us, is to convey something to you,
Right.
and the audience is peeping in. So I'm not catering to that
Right.
at that moment.
You're
I'm
just
just catering to you.
Right.
So if I'm coughing in between and saying it, and if I can make you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that is believable enough for me.
You made me understand even without saying in many scenes. There's an end shot where you're just staring at this person, and I thought that was a very powerful. It's a long scene where you're just looking, and we just understand all the emotions you're going through. It was wonderfully done.
I think also the person that was, I think, a kid, right?
Yes,
That helped.
Yes, that's why.
Yeah.
Right. To you also, how to get acting out of. Of course, they are all great actors, but again, things like that. Face covered hai, but express karna hai. Camera should capture it. Audience should understand it. How does this work?
You're basically saying to get acting out of me, na? That's what you're saying. So,
No, so I think one of the one thing that reinstated our conviction in the fact that the face mask will work is the fact that unfortunately the entire world went through COVID, right?
Yeah.
So in COVID, what happened is that we saw each other with masks all the time, and we learned to read each other wearing masks. So when that happened, we kind of got this confidence that even when you're wearing masks now, you will be able to read the other person as long as the person is doing the right thing. And now when you talk about performing, I think we had some stuff on text, and we had a lot of on the script. We had a lot of discussions amongst ourselves, and then it was just let it free flow, and it was never. In fact, the costume and sound department was so meticulous in picking fabrics. For example, our sound recordist he tested maybe 1,000 kinds of cloth to see where he can get the live sound.
Okay,
What would not hamper the recording of live sound, because it was all sync sound, because it would be really tough to recreate this in a dubbing room. So just from there, and then the costume department supplying those kind of fabrics, and like Maddie sir was saying also earlier, when you watch the series, you get when they're breathing, you see the cloth going into the cavity. So all that would translate in emotions. So on purpose, we didn't select cloths that were thick, that would cover these kind of small details. And then I think the three men who are wearing masks have amazing eyes. So I think
They do.
the eyes did the rest.
Right. To you, this country is full of amazing heroic stories. Firstly, when you heard this, what makes you feel that why do people, say your character, who also has a backstory, why do they do this? Like his character, what makes these men, women come out and do this so selflessly?
I think that is essentially being Indian here. It's a very, very subcontinent trait, if I may say that. You know, we're not overtly heroes. I mean, we are show off and sometimes pompous in our behavior. But when you know, the moment of truth comes, you've seen this in Mumbai. You know, we might have so many differences between communities, between people and languages and whatever it is. But come a deluge, and you see the sheer humanity that Mumbai is, you know, or Chennai is, as a matter of fact. So the beauty of the common man, I think, is that he's extremely courageous.
Right.
And he doesn't wear his bravado on his sleeves. But the problem, or the strength that he gets is the fact that most of them cannot live with themselves if they make what I consider a decision that they will regret because of dharma. You know, it's like they keep thinking that dharma will come back and bite you. यार उस दिन मैं को yes ये सही था मैं बचा सकता था मैंने नहीं किया. Some people are, it's easy for them to go, hey man, I saved my life, there was nothing wrong with it, you justify to yourself.
Correct.
But we are ones, we can never justify that we didn't do the right thing at that time. We didn't, you know, like you can't live with it. And I think that's what creates the hero. That's very much a part of our conditioning. All the stories that we hear from our childhood, the way our parents bring us up, the way that the society applauds your laurels or your good qualities, all that kind of makes you want to be a hero when the moment of truth comes. And I think that's why, you know, that's how they become that.
True. Similar to your character, Devendu, you know, there is a moment where he can take a lot of money and just run away and make his great life. Even if he had run away saving himself on a train, he could have done that. What makes, according to you, what makes this human being not steal that money and stay there?
Yeah, again, it's very hard to say what makes him not choose that path and this path. Again, it's a very alien concept to him, you know, of doing something like that. But that what make him human as well at the same time. You know, maybe this was lacking in his soul somewhere. And, you know, this got fulfilled because of this maybe unfortunate night or whatever.
Right.
But this was the biggest learning for him. And yeah, man, you could be coming from a very different background, have a very different conditioning, but incidents like this, which are larger than life, they teach you a thing or two.
Right.
And I always believed that this guy's got a good heart somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just that his conditioning and everything, you know, जैसे वो पाल पोस के बड़ा हुआ है वो खुद, शायद वो चीज़ों को उतना नहीं देखा है. It's again coming to the same thing that, you know, try and survive first. You know, maybe world has not been a very kind place to him. But yeah, when you see people doing heroic stuff, you want to be a better human.
Sure, yeah.
And that what makes you a believable, maybe a faulty human being, but still a human being. You know, not a caricature where you say, whatever is happening, let me take this money. And you don't want people like that to exist in our society also. You know, you can have your own weaknesses, your disadvantages, advantages, but there are times where you have to, you know, rise up to the occasion. And maybe that it's just so much of humanity around him that, you know, it makes him also part of them. All of them coming together.
Fair enough. Lastly, you know, to all of you, whoever would like to answer this, somewhere, you know, people who were doing different jobs stood up and did the right thing. Do you all feel that it's also quite unfair that, you know, the people who did this kind of went scot-free and just lived a life abroad somewhere? Do you all, whoever would like to answer?
You know, the thing is that what happened in what happened with the perpetrators behind the whole thing is something that, you know, is out there, and you know, people know about it, and the event is kind of documented and stuff like that, and whatever's going on is, you know, still in process and stuff like that. And you know, the thing is that that's not the perspective only of the the story.
Only that opening shot of the reporter talking.
The story's perspective is that, you know, that we forgot these people. So the focus has to always stay on the greater good of, you know, that there is that human spirit that will rise someday. You know, you may need a role model, you may need a trigger, you may need something, but you deep down there is that good person in you somewhere that will rise, and that will give you that courage to, you know, rise above all odds. And that's the kind of lensing that we want everyone to see this also with.
Right. No, fair enough. You all have made one of the best series this year I've seen. So
Thank you so
really
much.
big congratulations. And I also can't wait for more and more people. I want to hear more things about it, debate this with my friends. I can't hide this that I'm a fan of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Babil.
Very kind of you, brother.
Babil, it's your turn.
Please watch our 4-part series, The Railwaymen, only on Netflix on the 18th of November.
Thank you.